Good. All right, what's up, Des Moines? Doc Ladd here with the Fit Moines podcast. Today I have Casey Negrete with Impact Health and Performance. How's it going, Casey?
Going well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. So let's get started. I'm going to have you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then what you've got going on right now.
Sure. Yeah. So, like Brian mentioned, my name is Casey Negrete. I grew up here in Iowa, a small town in southeast Iowa. Grew up playing sports, pretty active. Went to Iowa State, majored in kinesiology, ran track there for a couple of years. After that, I actually, one of the reasons that I really got into golf, which we'll get into later, but after I graduated from Iowa State, I worked at cold water golf links up in Ames for several months, probably half a year just about before I went to PT school. So that's where I really developed a passion for golf. I was able to pretty much play every single day because I was in between schools. So that was awesome. But then I went out to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to Trine University, a small school out there for physical therapy school. So I graduated with my doctorate in physical therapy from there in 2017. I worked for an outpatient in-network clinic up in Ames, Iowa, then for about 3 years, right out of school, which is a great experience. There had a lot of good mentors and things through that. And then March, I started Impact Health and Performance here in Ankeny, Iowa. And so I've been pretty much doing that since then.
Awesome. So I didn't know you ran track and field at Iowa State. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I did, my first 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. I was more kind of the longer sprints, 400s, 400 hurdles was kind of what I did the most of. So yeah, it was a great time. I wasn't one of the best out there, but it was fun. It was a really fun experience to be a part of that and kind of experience Division I athletics and what that comes with, and made some great friends doing that as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Like, even if you're not running the Olympics right now, but you still, you still were competing at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
You're surrounded by some very high level athletes and high level coaches, and
Exactly.
you get to learn a lot from both sides of those, either from like the strength and conditioning staff and the track staff, but all, like I said, all those other athletes out there as well. You can learn a ton from.
Yeah, it's looking back, like obviously while I was going through it, I wasn't thinking about everything that I was experiencing and learning, but looking back, it was such an awesome experience. And it's a whole different ballgame from high school sports to go to that higher level competition, because all of those coaches are breaking things down a lot more, and that's their one job, where a lot of high school coaches are also teachers, or they're doing other things. So
yeah.
But yeah, now with like the education that I have in human anatomy, physiology, and strength and conditioning and all that stuff, I look back at the strength and conditioning stuff that we were doing, the programming that we were doing for track at Iowa State, and it was just on such a higher level, much more intentional training than I had ever done before. So it's it was an awesome experience.
Do you use some of the components of that strength and conditioning in your practice today?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I know I kind of mentioned that, at Iowa State, we did have more intentional training and programming, but even still then, the strength and conditioning coaches were spread out for multiple sports. So even though there was more intent, I wouldn't say it was directly specific to each athlete. But we did get some more intentional programming there. So seeing some of the things they used, I definitely use when I build a more specific program for some of my golfers or runners or other clients that I work with. So absolutely, I use some of that stuff.
Yeah. So let's pivot now. That's a good transition into Impact. Like, tell us about Impact, how you started it, why you started it, and kind of what does Impact do?
Yeah, for sure. So I started, started back in March. So right before kind of the big COVID
Right
outbreak
before
and
a
shutdown.
pandemic, right? Like perfect time to start a business.
Exactly. Yeah. So great time to start a business. So I just kind of dove into some marketing stuff, some local marketing things. And then all of a sudden had to shut my doors because I'm located inside of a gym, and they closed up. So
Yeah.
shut the doors, and then reopened in June after staying home with my daughter, being a stay-at-home dad, which was awesome but challenging at the same time. But reopened then in June. And so, yeah, since then, just still been building my brand a little bit, building a web presence through social media and things like that. But yeah, I kind of, like I've mentioned up to this point, I specialize in working with golfers and runners. Those are kind of my big passions as far as athletics go. So do that. But I work with anybody who's has an active lifestyle or an active goal that they're wanting to get back to. So yeah, we specialize with working with those types of people, helping them to move better, feel better, and then eventually they have a goal of performing better. We take it that extra step to really help them kind of develop themselves as an athlete or as an active person.
Sure. And so, is there a certain age group that you work with, or they're kind of all across the spectrum?
I would say I work best with probably middle age 35 to 55 people, but I'm working with high school kids, which is a lot of fun. Working with older adults too, so older than 55, absolutely. And I love working with anybody, but I would say probably work best with that kind of middle age 35 to 55 range.
Awesome. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you're TPI certified. So could you please explain just what TPI is and like what it took to get that, and then what you can do with it now with your clients?
Absolutely. Yeah. So TPI, that's the Titleist Performance Institute, but they're an educational organization, and they specialize in golf and how the body moves for golf. So you can kind of, if you're familiar with golf brands, you could probably guess by their name having Titleist in it. But yeah, they've done a ton of research over the years, not only on professional golfers, but kind of your average club golfers. So they've got a bunch of data on all these golfers, on how they move, what it takes to make an efficient golf swing, what kind of things could lead to inefficiencies in the golf swing, and then also what kind of things could lead to an increased risk for injury as you golf. So getting certified through them, they certify health professionals, fitness professionals like personal trainers, strength coaches, things like that, and then also golf instructors or golf pros. So those are kind of the three groups that they kind of focus on certifying. So I've got kind of dual certification through them, being a physical therapist, kind of dipping into both the medical and fitness side of things. So I'm certified through their medical track and through their fitness track, along with kind of their level 1 certification. So I've got gone through 3 different courses with them.
Okay, so they actually break it down into the separate areas.
Yeah, so everybody that goes and gets certified goes through their level 1 certification, and that's where they kind of teach you their baseline assessment or screen that you go through. And then there's some different routes that you can take based on your profession. And so, like I said, for me, I went the medical and fitness route, but they've also got, like for the golf instructors, golf pros, they've got a golf instruction route. They've got like a junior route too. So if you work with a lot of younger golfers, they do that. And then they've also gone into like a power development type thing as well. Kind of breaking down like long drive competition mechanics for those types of swings, what you can do to really ramp things up and drive the ball far or hit bombs like they're saying now. So, but yeah,
I'm learning a ton. I knew what TPI stood for.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was so involved.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome organization. The stuff that it opens doors for. I mean, they're I would say the most known for that type of education and certification in the golf community. And like I said, they work with a ton of golf pros. There's TPI certified professionals working with a majority of the pros on tour. So if you know golf, if golf is your thing, you've probably heard of TPI, which is pretty neat. So, you know, for someone like me who wants to work with those people, having that certification is huge to kind of build trust with them and kind of let them know that, you know, I'm more than just a generalist physical therapist. Like I know golf, and golf is one of my things. So that's one huge thing. But then there's this big kind of alliance network too through them that kind of opens up the door to some other things as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely huge. And actually, on a previous podcast, I was talking with a guest about how like I can do, you know, as a board certified orthopedic clinical specialist, I can do a lot. I can treat you from head to toe, and I can, you know, I can dive into a lot of different areas. And I would like to think I'm great, but let's be honest, like if you come to me for golf, like I could probably make you a little bit better. I'll make you stronger, make you more resilient, make you a little bit more mobile, but I'm not your guy. Right? So like I don't know golf. I don't golf myself.
Right.
And I, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of golf or I don't know anything about it, to be honest. Let's be real. So having someone that's a healthcare professional is into golf, does it all the time for fun, but then has that extra certification, that's like icing on the cake. Like,
right.
why wouldn't a golfer go see you, honestly?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you could say that for anything, any activity. So, I mean, once you find somebody that you know, whether it is that certification or you just get to know them and you start to realize that you have, you know, these common interests and things like that.
Sure.
You know, for us, especially being, you know, those physical activity things or sports and stuff like that, it just helps build that buy-in or trust or connection with them. And once you have that, you know, that's when you have a good team approach to whatever it is you're trying to solve, whatever goal it is. So, you know, whether it's golf, yeah, that's my thing. And I try to make that as known as possible. So people, you know, feel comfortable with that and know that they can trust that, you know, I know the ins and outs of golf and what it takes to do that. And, you know, how enthusiastic people can be about golf. And, you know, if it was up to me and to a lot of enthusiastic golfers out there, we'd be out there just about all day, every day. It gets to be that much of a addiction type thing. So, but for other people, it's other sports or other activities.
Yeah. Now, explain to us just like what a TPI assessment looks like and what all goes into that.
Yeah, for sure. So the level 1 screen, like I talked about, is a kind of a general movement and mobility screen. So you're kind of looking at some motor control aspects, some foundational movements of the golf swing, and then also mobility in certain areas that you'd like to have for golf. So it's a screen that has 16 kind of sub tests to it. Once you get pretty efficient at running people through it, it takes about 15 minutes to go through it. So,
Yeah.
And it's kind of based off of the SFMA or FMS,
Okay.
functional movement screen, or selective functional movement assessment. Actually, TPI and SFMA are sister companies. Kind of TPI was built off of SFMA. So for all the movement experts out there, you might understand what that's from. But anyways, they developed this 16 test screen specifically for golfers. So typically your work for mobility, you're looking at like thoracic or upper spine rotation, extension type stuff. You're looking at hip mobility, rotation, things like that. Your ability to hip hinge to get into a good posture. Your ability to disassociate the lower body from the upper body. Some glute strength stuff that you're looking at. And then neck mobility, elbow, wrist mobility, stuff like that. So kind of breaking down the different segments of the body and making sure that you can stabilize in areas that you need to be stabilized and mobilize areas that you need to mobilize. But that's the level one. If we take it a step farther and we look at kind of more of the fitness sides of things or the strength component sides of things, there's a separate test that I also do with a lot of the people that are more interested at improving their performance, hitting the ball farther, stuff like that. So there's a fitness screen as well. And I want to say that's 10, without looking at one of the sheets, I want to say that's 10 extra tests. And that's breaking down the strength and conditioning portion of it. So you're looking at push strength, pull strength, lower body strength. You're looking at some power aspects or some speed strength aspects, where you're throwing a medicine ball around. So upper body power, rotational power. We're looking at vertical jump for lower body power output. And then a little bit on the endurance, speed endurance sides of things, where we kind of run people through a shuttle run. So there's a couple of screens that I routinely use with my golfers that TPI has developed.
Are you doing those like at your clinic then, or are you doing those out like on the course?
So I have done a few on golf courses or on driving ranges at golf courses, which has worked out really well to kind of introduce people to what it is. Sometimes it's not feasible to do all the tests out on a course where we maybe need to get down on the ground or we need a wall or something like that for one of the tests. But it is a good way to get out there, get in front of golfers and kind of introduce them to that process and show them, how their body could potentially move better for golf more efficiently, to produce that more efficient, powerful swing, or to decrease their risk of injuries and stuff like that. So that's been awesome to be able to meet the golfers where they are out on the course.
Sure.
But yeah, usually we're doing it in the clinic as well, or at the gym. So it doesn't require a lot of space or equipment to do that level one screen.
Yeah.
When you get into the fitness screen, you need some weights and a little bit more equipment for that. But that level one screen is pretty easy to do without much equipment, which is awesome.
How would you explain to someone the importance of strength training when it comes to golf? Because from my standpoint and an outsider's view, there's a lot of people that just want to go golf and just have fun. But where's the strength training component go into that?
Yeah. So you're describing most golfers. Most golfers just want to go out and golf.
Sure.
But from what I see is kind of as you age and you're maybe working more and not moving as much as you did when you were younger, you start to develop these aches and pains and stiffness in certain areas. So, being able to identify where you're lacking mobility or strength or something like that is super important. But when it also comes to, maybe noticing that your distance is dropping, or your endurance out on the course is starting to get a little worse. um, that's where a lot of golfers are missing that strength and conditioning portion of things. So um, there's kind of a little bit of debate in the golf fitness world on where endurance or conditioning fits for golfers.
Yeah.
And I would say my stance on it is, you don't necessarily need to go out and run miles and miles and miles, or bike or swim or whatever it is, miles and miles and miles, to improve your endurance for golf. If you want to be, fit for golf as far as the endurance side of things or conditioning side of things goes, you need to just walk and walk a lot, because that's what it is. Especially if you're walking the course, you need to be able to walk for a few hours at least,
Yeah.
and be on your feet for that amount of time. So if that's your goal, is to walk the golf course as you age and stuff like that, you need to make sure that you're walking consistently. As far as the strength component goes, that's where you'll see the biggest improvements in distance. The things that TPI kind of preaches, if you're looking for more distance out on the golf course, you need to develop one of two things, or both of these things would be ideal. But you need to either improve your mobility so that you have more ramp up time, so you have more time maybe in your backswing, so more rotation in your backswing, which will allow you more time to build speed as you come down to hit the ball. Or you have to build the motor that produces that speed. So you have to build strength so that you can produce more force through the club with your body, to hit the ball further. But if you're to develop both of those things, that's where you can really get dangerous out there, and start hitting the ball farther than maybe you ever have. So those are kind of the areas that I really like to address with my golfers and those that are looking to improve their performance out there.
Okay, so explain just like what a session looks like with you, like from someone new, a new patient that's coming in. Just kind of explain the whole process and how you guys function.
Yeah. So number one, just coming in and having a conversation. We got to make sure that we're a good fit, that what I have to offer is going to fit in well with that person's goals. And so having that time to hash out those goals, see what they are, build that trust, that connection with that person. That's the primary thing. And if we're not able to build that connection, build that trust, then anything else that I have to offer a person is probably not going to be nearly as good as if we're able to build that relationship. So coming in, having a conversation, like I said, identifying those goals, talking about some of the things that maybe they're struggling with, and then moving forward into doing an assessment. So if it's a golfer specifically, I might use some of the TPI things, or I might use some of the medical TPI things that I've learned to break down how they're moving, if they're dealing with pain. If it's someone that's strictly looking for better performance, then we typically will jump straight into the TPI assessments, both the level 1 and the fitness assessment. But if it's someone dealing with pain, we'll break things down into more of a physical therapy assessment, where we're watching you move, maybe getting our hands on you and seeing how certain things move more isolated as well. After we run through the assessment piece, and we've got a pretty good idea of what's going on, then we talk a little bit more. We talk about what it is that we found, what to expect as far as a prognosis, or how long it's going to take to meet some of those goals, the frequency of how often we need to meet one-on-one, what that's going to look like, and then some of the different treatment aspects. So whether it's some hands-on things or accessory type treatment things that we can offer, what those will look like, and what I see would be the most beneficial for them. And then we really talk about the exercise side of things, the active therapy sides of things, and how that is kind of the primary treatment modality that we're going to use to build those long-term improvements, to make sure that we're really taking care of that person long-term, and not just using a Band-Aid or something like that, or getting them out of pain, but making sure that we're we're in it for the long-term type thing. So after going through all that stuff, then we set the plan, and we put it into action.
Yeah, no, I like what you said there too. Like, there's things I do in my practice, like cupping, dry needling, scraping, some different manual therapies. Like, those things are great, and they can be extremely beneficial. But just like you, like for myself, like I'll use those to break a pain cycle and get someone feeling a little bit better. But the primary thing, and the thing that's really gonna like hit that home run for us, is moving, right? Like, movement is medicine. Strengthening people up and making you stronger, making you more resilient. That's what's going to be money down the line. And it's not this, it's not the cupping that's really going to make a huge difference. Sure, we can do that every once in a while to get you feeling a little bit better, get you loosened up a bit, but we're going to get so much more out of actually moving and getting you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
What's that?
Those types of things, to your point, they really help with, kind of like I've been alluding to, as the most important part of what we do is building trust with people. You can show people that you know anatomy, physiology, how the body works and how it heals, and you can use those things to kind of showcase your knowledge and skills, and
Sure.
and then also really help to calm things down pretty quickly. So those can be huge things for building trust. But we know as movement experts and physical therapists that those things probably aren't going to heal what they're dealing with, really get to the root cause of what they're dealing with. There's got to be some change in their movement habits that has to happen,
Right,
to lead to those long-term changes, those long-term improvements. So
yeah,
they can be great. What's that?
It's like hitting the save button. That's what I like to say to
Exactly.
people. Like,
Yeah.
we can do all these things, but if we don't hit the save button, which means like we don't go load those tissues after we've done all this stuff, it's not going to do anything. It's all going to be for nothing. It's going to be gone.
Yeah, that's great. I like that save button.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
they're pretty easy. Actually, I think I got it from Eve. So
Did you? Nice.
There you go. I want to talk about, you've hit on it a couple of times now, but just building buy-in and trust. And one thing you said earlier was the communication piece. And I think that's so important, because I'm sure you've experienced this, but I've had so many patients that come through my doors, and they're frustrated because they've been to a doctor or a surgeon or whoever, and no one explained anything that's going on. They just said, "Oh, this hurts. You need to go see a PT."
Yep.
And they get to us and they're like, "Well, I need this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why this hurts. I don't know anything. I don't know why I'm taking this. I don't know why I'm even here." And so people get so frustrated, but to be able to sit down one-on-one and build that trust and show them like, "Hey, this is why we're doing these exercises. This is what we looked at in the examination. This is what I found, and this is what it means." I think that's the key component too, is actually telling them, this is what this means, and this is why it's important, or this is why it doesn't matter, and this is how we're going to fix it. I think that's huge. I don't know if you have anything else to say about that, but
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that as far as the communication piece. And, for us as physical therapists, for the most part, we're in a unique situation where we get a lot more touch points with our clients.
yeah,
And then more specifically to your and I's businesses and our models, we've got a lot more time during those touch points to spend with people and just talk. And I can't tell you the amount of times that I've used most of a session just talking with somebody,
yeah,
explaining things to them in a way that's digestible for them and that makes sense to them, and calming some of their fears, or talking through some of the um, emotional, psychological, mental sides of what they're dealing with, and those types of conversations are invaluable to that person, and to their entire rehab process, whatever they're trying to make it back from.
yeah,
You've got to address those things if you're going to help them succeed the most efficient way possible. Um, and so, like I said, us as physical therapists, we've got the unique ability to do that because we're meeting with people on a somewhat regular basis, whatever that is, as they're getting through it. So yeah, that's a great thing for us as physical therapists to take advantage of, is use that time you're with somebody, whether you're in an in-network clinic and only have, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, you still have that time to do that, and you have it relatively consistently, whether it's once, twice, 3 times a week to do that. You have that time to talk with that person and to listen, and that really helps to help them feel like you're caring for them, that you care about what they care about, so they can trust you. But then it also helps you to build your program out for them the best way possible. The more information you have on them, the better you're going to be able to do those kind of hard skills of, whatever it is, hands-on wise, or building out the load progressions that you're going to do through exercise as well. Yeah, we're just able to get a lot more information than I think
yeah,
some other
yeah,
healthcare.
absolutely. And it's like you said, that buy-in, building that trust, and you really figure out the why behind someone's reasoning for being there. Because oftentimes they'll come and see me and you because they have shoulder pain, but it's
Mm,
not really the shoulder pain that they're coming to see for, right? It's always some other reason where they want to be able to play baseball with their kids, or get down on the floor,
yeah,
wrestle with their kids, or play with the baby on the floor, or whatever. There's always something else. But if you're only spending 5 minutes with them, you're never going to figure that out, and you're going to be rushed. So, we've got that extra time, and it's so nice. And I always tell people, like, I'm low volume on purpose. I could make way more money
yeah,
by getting people in and out of the door,
yep,
but that doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for you.
right,
You can slow things down and take that extra time.
yeah,
It's kind of funny. I've actually had, I get every once in a while, I'll get someone that's like used to the medical system now, and I try and like sit back and just kind of relax and talk with them. And some people
yeah,
are like, "No, we got to get through this. Let's go, go,
yeah,
go." And it's like, well,
yeah,
we got time, man. Like, we got an
yep,
hour.
yep,
So
yep,
it's kind of
yep. They're not used to slowing down and really having the time to talk through stuff. They maybe already have their script of what they're going to say in their 2 minutes that they're expecting to be able to
right.
talk with somebody.
You get all this
So
stuff.
they run through it, and then you ask them an open-ended question, and they're like, "What? I get more time to talk?" Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, to your point, um, yes, it's great that we have the time, to do that sort of thing, but the time isn't the only thing. You have to find somebody who's going to ask you the right questions too.
Right.
So finding somebody that, um, you know, not only will give you the time, but will let you use that time to tell you what or to tell them what you're dealing with. That's the big thing. And so a lot of that comes from being able to ask open-ended questions that are going to lead to that information.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's it's really important because I mean, there's not as much as I think I could work with everyone and I'm great with everyone. I get along with a lot of people, but I'm not for everyone, right? And so it's being able to sit down and figure that out and say like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I don't think this is the best place for you. Like, you need to
Mm-hmm.
go see Casey down the road. He actually golfs,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd be great for you. You know, and
Yeah.
it's that's tough to do sometimes, but
Yeah.
you've
No,
got
that's a,
to, yeah, you've got to for the patients,
yeah.
and just to be able to, be able to get them to the right spot, and
Mm-hmm.
find what works for them. I think that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. And that, like you said, that's a tough pill to swallow when, um, and I would say, being relatively fresh out of school, it's hard to for new grads to get like, you're not going to be the person for everybody,
Right.
and sometimes that's okay, and you just gotta you got to improve your skills, so maybe you are better for more people as time goes on, but you're still not going to be better, or you're still not going to be the best for every single person that reaches out to you, or that walks into your door. And so building that network, that we kind of have together, and then with some other clinicians that we've gotten to know, and then also just with your experiences with people that are in your communities, then who you would feel comfortable sending, or once you get to know that client, those people start to pop up in your head of like, you would be perfect for this person,
Yeah.
type thing. And once you're able to really swallow that pill and start to push people in the right direction, it's a good feeling. And there can also be benefits coming back your way after you make those referrals to people, which is kind of an unseen benefit to just treating people right.
Right. No, and from my standpoint too, and I'm guessing you feel the same or feel similar, is like, there's so many people in the Des Moines metro, and there's so many other healthcare practitioners. There's a lot of good practitioners out there.
Yeah.
And we don't have to have this competition where we're butting heads and we're fighting for people. We can work together and help. I mean, it's going to help the people of Des Moines out so much more, and it's going to lift them up, but it's also going to lift our businesses up. And we can, like I said, we don't have to fight. We can, we can all raise up together and help so many more people out. And I think it's really important, from a relationship standpoint, to have those contacts where we can refer people in and out. And just like you said, like, I've referred people to other clinics, but I've also got them sending people back my way. So I think you can have that great relationship. You can really work together, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. With us being in um, a group of clinicians that are kind of like-minded, we all sort of believe in the abundance mindset, or the growth mindset of, there's plenty of people out there that we can help, and if we can develop these spots for people to go with all these different interests, and we can match the right people up with the clinician that's going to have the best opportunity to build that buy-in, that trust, that relationship with that person, the better they're going to get, the more efficient their whole experience is going to be, the better that experience is going to be for them. And so, we're just going to be helping people a lot more effectively and efficiently. And if you build those relationships with those other clinicians that you can, develop that referral kind of partnership with, things are going to work out for both of you in the end, one way or the other, because there's so many people out there, and all these people have different interests. So if you're able to match those interests with the right clinician, it's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. switching gears just a little bit, Casey, what would you say are the qualities that make a successful client for you?
I would say a lot, um, a lot of that stuff has kind of already been said to some extent. But somebody who's willing to admit that they need some help or guidance. And if somebody's coming into your office, you've kind of to some extent broken that barrier down or past that stage a little bit. They've recognized that they have an issue or something that they need to work on, or a goal that they want to work towards. So but sometimes you have to help people figure that out, or find kind of the root goal that they're talking about. So the why that you were talking about. Yeah. But finding somebody who's willing to admit that there is a why, or willing to at least dig and see what that is kind of the first priority. And then also find somebody who's willing to accept a new way of thinking, or some new information that you might be providing for them. But both of those things all circle back around to what we can do through communication with those people. So building that trust. If somebody doesn't trust us, they're not going to be willing to figure out what their why is, or find out what those goals are. If somebody doesn't trust us, they're not gonna open up their mind to some new information, or a new way of thinking about their health, or how their body works, and stuff like that, or how pain works. That's probably one of the biggest things. But that is on us as the physical therapist or the healthcare professional, is being able to build that trust so that you can then go to those next steps. But yeah, once we build trust, once you find their why, and then once you know that they're willing to accept new information, then it just takes somebody who's willing to put in the work and do what you ask of them, and kind of stay on top of things. I think all those things leads to the best outcomes, the most efficient outcomes for somebody.
Awesome. Well, Casey, this has been great. I have learned a ton myself.
Yeah.
I enjoyed talking to you again.
For sure.
Well, first of all, where are you located?
Yep. So I'm in Ankeny, Iowa. Like I said, I'm renting some space inside of the Aspen Athletic Club's gym on North Ankeny Boulevard. It's right next to a brewery, and then as of right now is a closed down restaurant, but kind of sandwiched in between those two businesses. But yeah, I've got a small room in there that I do kind of my one-on-one stuff, and then we can use the gym for and all the equipment for a lot of the treatment.
Great. And if people want to learn more about you and Impact Health and Performance, how can they do so?
Yeah, so probably the best ways would be to take a look at my social media accounts. So Instagram, it's at impact.ankeny. Facebook, you can search impact.ankeny or Impact Health and Performance. So follow those. There's a lot of free exercises that are golf and running specific that I put out there regularly, and then also some health and performance educational posts and material that I'll put on there. So following those and then reaching out through direct message through that is awesome. My website is www.impactankeny.com. And so that's another good reference for a lot of people to kind of figure out what I do. And then if you want to reach out through email, my email is casey@impactankeny.com.
Awesome. Well, for those of you listening out there, go check this guy out. Follow him. You won't regret it, especially you golfers. You need him in your life. So, all right, Casey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for having me on.